on guys, welcome back to the Makers Gonna Learn YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm gonna share with you a few things to avoid as we are joining into the new year. I know a lot of you just got a Cricut machine and you're really excited to dive into all things Cricut. But in today's video, I really want to share with you a few pieces of advice from someone that's been Cricutting for well over a decade now of things maybe to avoid as you're a beginner. These are things that you can level up to. These are things you can aspire to. But as a beginner, I don't want you pulling your hair out with any of these issues when you're a beginner. So what I'm gonna share today is 5 different things to just not waste your time on since you just got your machine and just getting started with your Cricut. First up, if you've watched any of my videos, you all know I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the Cricut adaptive tools for Cricut beginners. And the reason why is things like the rotary blade, the knife blade, and a few of those adaptive tools are just not near as reliable as the fine point blade. This fine point blade is such a reliable blade that I know almost anyone could be able to use this blade right out of the gate. And what you're going to find is that this is such a reliable blade that you're going to switch to a knife blade. You're going to expect the same result, but you're not going to get it. It takes practice, it takes time and technique to utilize some of these blades. So I'm not saying you're not going to be able to do that eventually, but as a beginner, I want to let you know that maybe just to hold off on that, slow your roll and master your fine point blade and some projects before jumping in to a lot of these adaptive tools. For number 2, I want to just give you the piece of advice and let you know to avoid tiny letters. Guys, some of you have so much ambition right out of the gate that I see craft fails time and time again of trying to cut out like super tiny letters right away. So please, I just want to let you know, again, something to aspire to, something to build up to. If you're cutting less than, I would say 3/4 of an inch, let's just slow our roll. Let's just calm down, focus on, mastering weeding, script vinyl or cursive vinyl or, anything like that that is a little bit smaller before diving in to some of these tiny letters, because you have to master your settings. You have to make sure the blade's good. You have to have a great product of vinyl to do that. Again, I'm not saying you're not gonna be able to ever do it, but as a Cricut beginner, someone that maybe have only had their machine a month or two and only got to craft in a few times, let's not waste our time doing some of those tiny little cutouts. What I can recommend for you is to turn it into a print and cut. That way, the printer prints it out, the Cricut cuts out the outer edge, and then bada bing, bada boom, done. We love that here, and that's a great workaround if you're a Cricut beginner needing success fast. Third up is traditional glitter vinyl. Now, full disclaimer here, my friends, this is not even a sheet of real glitter vinyl because we've pretty much threw it out of our office. And the reason why is it's so not fun to work with. It's not fun at all. This is something for a few different reasons. After you cut glitter vinyl, it's so hard to weed. Like literally, we have studio lights. We have the best light here. The bright pad is even here as something to avoid because I don't ever use it. But it's kind of hard to work with the glitter vinyl. So as a Cricut beginner, I just don't recommend working with glitter vinyl. I do love these sheets right here that are kind of, it feels, slick, super easy to weed. But traditional glitter vinyl, I'm just gonna say, hold off on it. You don't need it right now. Focus in on something different so that you're not having to waste your time. And again, potentially running into a craft fail when you're still getting all the basics conquered. Now, if you're dead set on the glitter vinyl, what I wanna recommend is this sheet right here because we really like it. I believe this is the Easy PSV Glitter by Caesar. It's amazing. This, I mean, you guys can tell like it's glitter, but it doesn't give you the trouble of weeding true glitter vinyl, but it gives you the look and the result of glitter. So if you're a beginner needing the glitter like today to make a great project, I'll link this material down below for you guys. Next up, this one might surprise some of you that are brand new to our channel, and this is working with Cricut Smart Material. I want to encourage you to do some research and some cost comparison of the Cricut Smart Materials with your machine. compared to traditional vinyl and things like that. So I have 2 reasons not to work with the Smart material from Cricut as a beginner. First of all, it is very tedious to work with. It's a very thick material. It's very hard to weed. It's hard to work with for a seasoned crafter, even like myself. I find having struggles with it that I have never had using traditional vinyl from like 143 vinyl or using 651 or StarCraft or anything like that. You're going to run into some unique situations with the Cricut Smart material that you would not with other material. And to beat that, it's going to cause you to have more issues, and it's actually going to be more expensive. A lot of the Smart materials don't require you to weed on a mat because they add in such a thick backing piece to be able to go through the machine with great success and cut out. But again, you're paying more money for it and you're having a harder time to use it. So as a Cricut beginner, save yourself some money, just stay away from a lot of these Smart materials. Even though Cricut really likes to push these materials and sell them to you, I would recommend just avoiding it for right now. Last but not least, this is something I've had since the launch, and this is a Cricut Bright Pad, my friend. Do not feel like you have to have a bright pad, as I've barely ever used mine. Now, you may argue that, Tanner, you have a studio, you have lights, you have this, you have that. It's really not useful for me, so I only would recommend this if you are working pretty much close to the dark. Like if you're in a very dim room, somewhere that has no light at all, and needing to have some great success. Now, personally, you could get the same results just using your iPad and putting it underneath your Cricut mat and just having it on like a really bright white screen or anything like that to get great results. So if you have great overhead light or a light on your craft table at all, the Bright Pad may not be for you. So definitely think about saving that money and putting it through to more material or really anything else you may be looking for your craft room. And that, my friend, concludes all 5 different things that you may want to avoid as a Cricut beginner. These are all things you can level up to, you can aspire to, and get better at. But if you're a Cricut beginner looking for success right away and not having any craft fails, these are the 5 things I would avoid as a Cricut beginner. If you got any advice from here, I want to know your favorite one down below. Leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for new Cricut videos every single week, and as always, check out our membership right down below for more information on getting access to thousands of cut files, hundreds of fonts. We have an amazing training program. If you're a year member to our program, you're going to get all the training you need to master your Cricut machine start to finish. We seriously walk with you to take the machine out of the box and do everything then on out. We even include a commercial license to make money with your machine. I hope you guys check it out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, my friend. Hey everyone, Tanner Bell here, and welcome back to makersgonnalearn.com. In today's video, we're talking about big crafting mistakes you do not want to make today. If you are brand new to the Makers Gonna Learn channel, I want to welcome you guys here. We are your home of all kinds of crafting and die cutting inspiration and education. If you have not checked out our membership, be sure to check it out. The first link down below, you can get plugged in and join the community of over 13,000 amazing crafters and creatives in our community. Now, I've been crafting for well past a decade, and my friends, I've picked up a few crafting hacks, a few tips that are going to save you, and I know we have some beginners here that are like, Tanner, I need to know all the crafting tips that you can provide because I'm brand new, I'm loving crafting, and I don't want to craft fail. So in today's video, we're going to tackle a lot of those little simple things that I do different now than when I started out back in 2010. Because my friends, just like many of you, I got started with zero knowledge, 0 people in my family even knew how to stain a piece of wood, and I was clueless. So after over a decade of crafting, craft fails, and having some really fun success crafting, I'm here today to share with you some big crafting mistakes that you may be making and what to do different. Now, my friends, let's kick off with probably a hard hitter that I love to talk about because, again, when I was a beginner crafter, I saw some amazing promotions at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's with acrylic paint. They were like, oh my gosh, Tanner, you can get 4 2-ounce bottles for 25 cents each. What a steal. But my friends, what I want to let you guys know is all paint is not made the same. And just because you may be able to get some of these for 50 cents a bottle, 75 cents a bottle, doesn't always mean it's going to give you the best quality or honestly, even the best value. Some of the lower quality or cheaper brands are going to require you to do 3 or 4 coats of paint where a better quality paint may only take you 1 or 2 coats. So this is a great example right here, my friends. When you have a basic acrylic paint that is just an acrylic paint, it's going to be a lot thinner than if you work with a multi-surface paint. I love this kind of mid-grade paint where it's called multi-surface, and it truly is an amazing paint that is acrylic, but it's a little bit thicker. So if you're impatient like myself, you want a high quality look without having to spend time doing 4 coats, multi-surface paint is a great meet in the middle for a higher quality, but still not the lowest grade. This is kind of my go-to, and the best part is a multi-surface paint in Folk Art, Deco Art, any of those brands are going to have a great quality multi-surface acrylic paint. Now again, all paint is not made the same. So you can see there's also other paint out there that's a chalky finish paint. Now this hit the market probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it's became really popular. And here's why. It's a matte finish paint that says you can paint furniture without sanding, without priming, 1 coat, and it's covered. And for the most part, I would say that's true. For most surfaces, you don't have to sand it, you don't have to prime it. 1 or 2 coats can really get you guys some great quality when it comes to a chalky finish paint. What I also love is that you get 8 ounces of it, and it's pretty affordable, and one of these will last you quite a bit. Now, an extra tip that I didn't even think about for today's video is that if you have a bottle of chalky finish paint, because I highly recommend you guys to try this for furniture, for wood, frames from the thrift store is amazing to use chalky finish paint with, but say you leave it sitting for 6 months, a year, and you come back to this chalky finish paint and you're like, whoa, this is crusty. I don't want to have to go out and buy another bottle because I have a full bottle here. What I love to do with chalky finish paint is just add a tad, just a little bit of water and start stirring it together, and you'll see the chalky finish paint goes back to its normal quality. You guys are going to love this, and I do it very often when it comes to the chalky finish paint. There's something about the matte finish that makes it a little bit clumpier and things like that when it ages comparatively to an acrylic paint. But again, my friends, just to recap, all paint is not made the same. The sales that they may be running at the craft store with lower quality paint may not always be the best for you to choose from. So be very careful when you're selecting your paint. And a pro tip, definitely try out a multi-surface paint because it's honestly my favorite after over a decade of painting. Another thing, just like all paint is not made the same, you want to be careful about what paint brushes you're working with as well, because all paintbrushes are not made the same either. When I started out, again, I was constantly going to a foam brush. Here's why. Foam brushes are affordable, you can get them in big packs, and they're really easy to throw away when you're done with them. Am I right? Like, we love being able to use it and toss it and not feel bad about it. But what I want you guys to kind of think about and test these out for yourself and form your own opinions, but definitely a higher quality paintbrush is going to give you better results, quicker results, And you'll find that you're going to have some personal favorites when it comes to paintbrushes. And they can go for quite a bit. Like you can see a $1 paintbrush on one part of the aisle, and then you can go and see like a $20 paintbrush. And I don't know about you guys, I'm not even ready for a $20 paintbrush. I'm not ready for the responsibility, but there's some really great meat in the middles that you will definitely love to use. And if you take care of them in the right way, you are going to love it. So let's say that you do get a nice quality paintbrush and you're like me, sometimes you leave it sitting. It's very devastating to invest in yourself, invest in your crafting, and then you're irresponsible like myself, and you walk into your craft room the next day and the paintbrush is stiff, there's paint all in it, and if you ever try to paint with it again, it's not going to paint right. You're going to have streaks. You're going to be able to see all those brush strokes because they're all, hard and just not what the paintbrush is for. I have a great craft hack for you, and it's going to be a dollar store one. So what you can do is the next time you're at the dollar store, go over to the personal care and grab you a bottle of the most affordable conditioner. Yes, I'm talking towards hair conditioner, because just like your hair, you're going to condition your paintbrush. So you can put it in a little cup, you could put it in a reusable container, something little on your craft table, and you could simply, after you're done using each paintbrush, you could just pop it in there. So maybe you're not ready to go to the sink, your craft room's not in the kitchen sink or anywhere like that. You can literally put your paintbrush in the conditioner and it's going to keep it well taken care of. And even if you forgot to do that and you've left it sitting out overnight, you can then just let it sit for 30 minutes, a few hours, however long you want, and let it just condition in there, and then run it under some warm water, and you'll see that you're able to transform it back to a great quality paintbrush, and it's no longer going to be something that you're not proud of. So that's a great craft hack for when you decide to start investing in some quality brushes, and the conditioner has saved me more time than having to invest in new brushes all the time, because let me tell you, I'll be the first to admit that sometimes I totally am irresponsible and leave my paintbrush sitting out overnight. So the conditioner hack is going to be a great one, and you don't even have to use your hair conditioner. This is a great dollar store opportunity to grab some very affordable hair conditioner. Now let's talk about something that a lot of crafters consider would be possibly a lazy person painting job. And that, my friends, is working with spray paint. Now, first of all, one of my biggest crafting pet peeves is when I see a spray painted project and it's runny. There's not a lot of ways to save it. There's not a lot of ways to reverse it after it's already started to run. But my friends, if you can take notes, this is one that I wish I learned 10 times sooner. When you're spray painting, be sure to stay 6 to 8 inches away from the project and keep a flow. Keep moving your hand, working in those different areas. If you leave your spray paint right in one area without keeping the solid movement, you're going to see that you're going to have the runny parts really easily from not keeping it moving. Now again, I've also seen it because we think that if we're outside, you want to be super close to the project. Like, this is not how you spray paint. This is too close. It's going to create those little runny marks way quicker than if you stay 6 to 8 inches away. It's going to give a nice even coat, especially if you're slowly moving and working with your project. Another quick tip is I like to get my spray paint started on a scrap piece of cardboard, anything like that, just to make sure that there's no clumps in the spray paint. And then I know, okay, this spray paint bottle is flowing really well, I need to move it, or hey, it's not, I need to make sure it's shaken properly, and things like that. Now, I did mention I'm outside and I'm usually using some type of surface protector. You also want to be in a well-ventilated area. Spray paint is something you do not want to mess around with, so please, my friend, be in a well-ventilated area. And spray painting can sometimes be harder than you would think, even though it seems to be a really easy solution. Spray paint doesn't go on to things as well, as sometimes a traditional paint would. Sometimes a plank of wood can cause you issues. We've had that happen with it being pre-finished, and it just, again, started the runs. It didn't want to stick to it. So another tip here is to make sure that your spray paint is made for the surface you'll be spray painting. Make sure your spray paint is made for the surface you will be spray painting. There's a lot of different spray paint out there. You can use a Krylon, you can use a Rust-Oleum. Honestly, I don't have a preference anymore, and I definitely change it. When I first started spray painting or crafting, I was dedicated to Krylon. And then after a little bit, the nozzle just was not working for me, but the Rust-Oleum nozzle was amazing. But then there's been some other ones hit the market. Target has one that I'm absolutely a huge fan of. Valspar now has a spray paint that's awesome. So definitely play around with it. You will love using spray paint, but sometimes, in our opinion, it would be easier to put a coat of chalky finish paint on there, grab some multi-surface paint and things like that. You don't have to go outside. It's a lot easier to maintain, and you definitely do have a lot more control. Because let's say you have a great project and for some reason you accidentally have some of that like running smudge. What you will see is that there's not a lot of ways to reverse it. What I've tried to do before is try to wipe it away real quick, and I'm like, no worries, I'll re-spray paint it, right? What that ends up happening is that where you have kind of taken it away is now back to the main surface, but all the other area has been spray painted. So then you go through and try to hit it again, and it's just gonna create those same lumps. So you really wanna be mindful about that, and if it was acrylic paint, you'd be able to fix that no problem. Just brush it out, even it out, and then be able to let it dry. So definitely wanna be mindful when working with spray paint. The next thing is something for the people like myself that are impatient. You definitely want to make sure that your painting project, your staining project, anything like that, you are letting it dry properly. There's been many times, and if you've watched any of my live streams, you may have experienced it, that I've stained something and then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put this decal on here and it's gonna be great. Right? What will happen is that you will actually mess up your project, your vinyl is not going to stick properly, and you are going to not be happy with the results. Let me tell you, from someone that has been crafting over a decade, it will happen, it has happened, and I don't want it to happen to you. But my friend, I have two solutions that I have found that are going to be fantastic for letting this dry properly. You want to protect your surface. So what we like to do is go to the dollar store and maybe pick up some poster boards, or you could even have a clear plastic shower liner and cover your surface area of your craft table. That's a great tip no matter what you're doing, first of all. But second of all, once you protect your surface area, say we stain this piece of wood right here, we'd be able to pick that up and take it somewhere to dry. That's a great way because it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I'm not looking at it being like, we're sitting here literally watching paint dry. I can't touch it. There's nothing able to do. I'm waiting for it. You could be working on something else. But then you may say, Tanner, I'm working on this project. I need it to be done yesterday, right? That's how I craft. That's just how it is. A great solution for you would be to have some type of heat surface. I love using these heat embossing tools. They give more heat than you would get out of a hair dryer. But if you don't want to invest in one of these, I totally understand. Just simply use a hair dryer and just hit your project, and it still will require some dry time. There's something about, letting your project dry, but some type of heat could definitely fasten the process for the impatient people. So I like to do a little bit mix of both. Like I'll let it, dry by itself, and then I'll like to finish it off with some heat and let it dry just a little bit more, and then be able to apply that decal. Now my friends, we just talked about applying decals to surfaces that are not properly dry, but let's talk about something else. you want to make sure that you are picking really great quality wood. So you want to make sure that first of all, it's not warped. What we have to do at Home Depot or any of the hardware stores is to look at a big piece of wood and be like, okay, is it warped? And 7 times out of 10, you're gonna have a warped piece of wood at the hardware store. So you want to make sure that it's perfectly straight for your projects, because if you ever work with a warped piece of wood, my friend, you go to take that to hang it on a wall, it's not going to be flush on your wall, and that is not going to look good. So first of all, be picky about your wood. Second of all, always, 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 prior to staining, prior to painting, be sure to sand. Just lightly sand it, give it a nice light coat. I love sanding blocks, but I also sometimes just love grabbing at the Dollar Tree a pack of sandpaper and just rough it up real good. And then I take a piece of paper towel, a washcloth, anything like that, and kind of dust it. So get all of that debris off. What that's going to be able to do is allow this to get a nice even coat of stain. And then it'll also protect you when you're staining with your cloth. It's not going to get hung on any part of the wood because it's now a super smooth piece of wood. So these are two really great things to look out for that you may not even think about when heading into the hardware store and planning any type of wood project. And when you have it nice and sanded, guess what? Your decal is going to go on better. Your transfer tape is going to do a great transfer. There's so many times that we have viewers on live streams and recorded videos saying, Tanner, you make this look so easy. Why can I not do that? My friends, it's because we follow these steps. We follow these principles every single time. I get it. When I first went to a hardware store to pick out wood, I never thought that a piece of wood would be warped. I'm like, I'm buying it at the store. This is a great piece of wood. It looks good, feels good, we're good. But my friends, definitely take a look at it, because that's something I have had to learn, is that a lot of it is not great quality. So they have a lot of selection, but let me tell you, you want to make sure to get a really great quality piece of wood for your projects. If you've been around to the Makers Gonna Learn community for any time, you guys know one of my tried and true principles is always going to be measure twice, cut once. Again, measure twice, cut once. So what does that look like? You always want to measure your frames, measure your projects so that you know what size you're working with. But that could be for anything. If you're putting a decal on a shirt, I like to look at the shirt and measure it. If you're wanting to put a decal on a pocket, always measure it. And the reason why is that we just want to condition you to always double check, because we want to measure twice and cut once. And the thing is, what if you're putting a decal on a different size shirt than normal and you didn't think about the size variation? If you're putting a decal on an extra small t-shirt versus say an extra large t-shirt, that size is definitely going to be different. And the only way to truly know is to take that shirt, measure it, make sure you're happy with where that decal placement is every single time. And let me tell you, I love doing this because when you know your surface area, you can then take that surface area and mock it up in Cricut Design Space, which we do in a ton of our videos, so we can actually see our project in the software. Because a lot of times when crafting, especially with Cricut, is that you feel like there's a disconnect from the craft table to the software. So if that's you, I highly recommend starting to think about how I can measure my frame, measure whatever I'm working on, and put kind of a mock-up in Cricut Design Space so that I can say, hey, here's exactly the size of the project, here's what the decal is going to look on the frame, on the shirt, things like that. And it is going to save you a lot of time and material measuring twice and cutting once. Next up is a hot glue gun hack. And my friends, you guys know we are loving our Lynn Lily hot glue gun. Surebonder's fine point tip is like one of our favorites. We love this hot glue gun right here for so many reasons. It's wireless, you have 2 minutes of working time, and it's really fantastic. So if you haven't checked this out, highly recommend checking out a not only wireless, but this fine point tip. literally a game changer. But what I want to say towards the hot glue is that if you ever have hot glue gun strings, here's what we recommend doing. You can have a hair dryer, or again, this heat embossing tool is really great. This puts out a lot more heat than the hair dryer, so you'd want to stay pretty far away, but you can simply hit any of your projects after you have glue gun strings on it, and they're going to disappear right in front of your eyes when you hit it with the hair dryer or any type of heat embossing tool or anything like that. So it kind of gives a way more professional look to your projects. And in my experience, it's a lot more effective than trying to pull every single string away. I would much rather just hit it real quick and they literally disappear right in front of your eyes. Now, my friends, we have went over a ton. Like, this is literally just kind of like a cheat sheet that myself and our entire team kind of lives by when we're crafting in our everyday life. And I love talking through why we do the things we do, because when we're doing it, it's kind of becomes second nature. So if you're overwhelmed and you're saying, Tanner, that was a lot, my friends, rewatch the video. Each time you could kind of focus on something different. But my goal here is for you guys to at least take one tip away that you can start implementing today. And I have one last one that I want to share with you. And my friends, if you start a new project, be sure to make time to finish it. Yes, be sure to make time to finish it. So if you're going to start something today, I want you to make sure that you're giving yourself time to finish it, because we do not want you to have 3 or 4 uncompleted projects, because that's not going to make you feel good about yourself. That's not going to give you anything to share with your friends and family. An unfinished project is not going to do you justice. So we want to make sure that you're giving yourself time, giving yourself grace, and giving yourself a push to get that finished. So don't start something unless you know for a fact that you're going to see it through till the end and make it the best that you can do. So my friends, I loved sharing with you guys all of these mistakes that you may be making and opening up the perspective of crafting. And in general, this is so many different areas that you can work on and see improvement really quickly. None of these are going to take a ton of time. These are things that we have learned from working in small spaces, working in large spaces, making upwards of 10 to 20 projects in a week. This is how we're able to do it here. And I think no matter what type of crafter you are, you hopefully have found something really fantastic about this. But if you love our videos here at Makers Gonna Learn, you love the community, I definitely want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Get notifications when we upload new videos. We have new videos every single week. If you love your Cricut and you're ready to take the next step with Makers Gonna Learn, what are you waiting for, friend? Check out our membership down below. There's a ton of free resources in the description of these videos as well. So if you're on the blog, you can read all about this video, get plugged in over there, join the membership, get access to the member-only community, get thousands of cut files, hundreds of fonts, some amazing training courses, and so much more. But until the next video, friends, I'll see you later, and I can't wait to chat with you in the comments. Bye now.